Welcome back, my fellow patriots, to the Save Our Republic daily video series. Today, President Trump was acquitted in his second impeachment trial before the United States Senate. And I thought this would be a good reflection point for the series. Remember, the series started on January 6th when the Capitol was stormed, and I was fearing for the survival of our people as a free people. That fear really hasn't dissipated over the last few weeks. And I don't think that the result today, one way or another, would address those underlying concerns significantly. But I do think we need to keep a few things in mind. Number one, the Senate went forward with the proceeding and the trial, even though the former president, was a former president, President Trump, and there was I think, good faith argument on both sides about whether or not the president, who is no longer in office, could be tried under the impeachment power. The Senate made the decision to move forward. They overruled a motion to dismiss, and they are the final decision maker. The United States Constitution says that the Senate has the full and sole power to try the president or any person for impeachment, and so basically they really make those decisions. We're used to the Supreme Court intervening in these kinds of constitutional debates, but there are some arenas where it really is inappropriate for the Supreme Court to do so, and this is one of them, at least in my view, and we'll never know what the Supreme Court would have thought if a case had been brought to them because it didn't happen and now it would be moot. But I do think, personally, that really rests with the Senate and how to proceed in connection with the case. Secondly, you will have noticed that the verdict was 57-43. You need a 2/3 vote, so you would need 67 to convict, even though a majority voted to convict. And 7 Republicans joined their Democrat colleagues in connection with voting to convict. A couple were surprises because they were not or at least one was a surprise because a vote earlier to dismiss the case had only a few Republicans, a handful of Republicans, vote to proceed with the case. And there were more votes to convict than there were to move forward with the trial. And I think this is perhaps the most important inflection point that we could have for today. I am relatively confident that there are going to be a tremendous amount of frustrated Republican supporters of those senators believing that they betrayed their nation by voting to convict President Trump. And I always refer to former presidents as presidents, just kind of a way of speaking, and respecting the office and the officers. And for those that are inclined to demonize those senators, I would just say to you that I'm confident that those people, under all these circumstances, did so because they really believe that the president was guilty. And they made a vote of conscience to do so. And we need to remember, as I've alluded to in prior daily videos, that as our country, we are grounded on the idea that we can have vigorous and robust debate, that we believe in free speech, that we can put opposing viewpoints out there and have a clash of ideas and policies and characters, and we throw it all up in the air and see where things fall. But in the end, we shouldn't demonize those who are our opponents, our adversaries. We need to give them the respect due to their, as people, as human beings, as well as the offices that they hold. And unfortunately, for several years, on both sides of the aisle, there have been vitriolic voices that have demonized people that they disagree with, creating caricatures, slandering them, calling them all kinds of names, and ad hominem attacks. And that is completely unhealthy for our society. We need to debate people On the issues, we need to point out hypocrisy and flaws, and there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of flaws out there today. And understand the opposing party's point of view, and if you disagree with it, then challenge them on why you disagree with it. And if you happen to agree with them, even though they may be from a different political party, then be bold enough to say, I agree with this person, and reach across the aisle. We are in a very dangerous situation. Most Americans have a terrible understanding of our Constitution, a worse understanding of American history, and the ties that have brought us together as Americans in protection with our freedoms and liberties are under severe strain and risk. The fabric of the Republic is unraveling. And we need to take a step back, take deep breaths, read about the Constitution, American history, reach out across the aisle where we can agree, and have a respectful debate when we don't. Otherwise, what happened on January 6th will just be a foreshadowing of instability, violence, corruption, and when we go down, the sacred flame of liberty will go down for all. So we really need to restrain ourselves and act with prudence and temper and an informed, educated debate. Until next time, don't forget about America's Survival Guide, where you can read about this kind of stuff at americasurvivalguide.com. That's my book. Patriot Week at patriotweek.org, and the Patriot Lessons American History and Civics podcast, where you can find those on all platforms in connection with the podcast, and it really is making a deep, deep dive into the Declaration of Independence, which is so critical to preserving our freedoms and liberties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until tomorrow, God bless you, and God bless America.